Hello, everyone. Welcome to Highly Intelligent. I'm Jared,
And I'm Matt.
and today we're going to be talking about a touchy subject that I think all of us need to hear about a little bit, because especially in these times, things aren't that great, and we just need to step back and realize that we shouldn't be focused on the differences between us. We should just be focused on loving each other and being nice and accepting all those things.
Definitely, dude. Love. So to quote actually the album title of an artist that I really, really like, Jeremy Zucker.
Ooh.
His recent album title is "Love Is Not Dying," and I think that's such a beautiful title because it's
Yes.
so true. With no matter how much hate you have in the world, no matter how much of these different emotions that are going on, love has always been there, and love's not going away.
Yeah, for sure. We all have been focused on the hate in the world, and it's just made everything grim and
Yeah, because it's I don't know. One of the biggest reasons, of course, is the media and stuff like that. And when
yeah,
you look at news outlets and things, everyone talks about this. It's one of the first things you see is like the recent shooting or the stabbing or something like that,
yeah,
right? It's because violence and content like that sells better.
yeah.
It sells better than
People want to hear about that more than they want to hear about an orphan being adopted and then feeling great and adopting puppies.
exactly. Yeah, which
That stuff's nice, but hearing about someone that died is a lot more shocking
mhm.
than it gives
Yeah,
more of a reaction than if you
and it
were
and
to
it has you pay kind of more attention
yeah,
to like the situation.
yeah.
People were drawn towards violence and stuff like that. So I think just in a world where we're full of it, I think one of the changes is a lot of people are really starting to get sick of it.
Yeah.
Um,
So
yeah.
to start off, we'll start off by defining what beauty is. So let's start off with outer beauty. Outer beauty is our exterior traits that others find desirable,
Mhm.
but that doesn't necessarily make a trait good or bad.
Mhm.
It all depends on the circumstances. Like if you were to go over to Africa where they get giant lip piercings, like the circles in their lips, like gauges
Mhm.
on their bottom lip, we don't find that attractive, but down there, the bigger the hoop you have in your bottom lip, the more beautiful you are.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest examples of what you're talking about is take ancient Egypt, for example,
Yeah.
where every single ruler, every, like, official and stuff like that, and I think maybe also this is Asian, I'm not 100% sure, so don't, like, take my word for it,
Yeah.
but there have been cultures where big people, fat, large people are
Yeah.
worshipped, and like that's seen as a amazing thing and a great thing. So like, and obviously in like our
Yeah.
culture now, that's not a thing that's worshipped as highly as it is,
I think
like
it
it
all
was in
be
those
that
cultures.
that's because the amount of food that was around then. Like if you had a ton of food and
Yeah,
you were able to get like obese,
it showed wealth.
yeah.
Yeah.
But nowadays if you get obese, it's a sign that you're not taking care of
Mhm.
yourself.
Right, which is a healthier perspective on the whole thing, but
Yeah.
it is right the biggest measure of what is outer beauty and how can we judge outer beauty. And the moral kind of your story here is, one, there is no one definition, and it changes across like cultures
Yeah.
across the entire world. What is perceived beautiful as some in an external fashion may not be like beautiful to others, and vice versa.
Exactly. Which is why we all need to love each other and love who we are, because you may not look like someone else, but that doesn't make you look bad.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's individual and unique, and we all have special things about us that maybe haven't been discovered yet, and you just need to look deeper within yourself,
Mm-hmm.
which brings us to inner beauty.
Yeah. Yeah, nice segue there.
Yeah,
Nice segue.
yes, sir.
So yeah, inner beauty, and I think that's something that definitely people are trying to focus on a lot more, in our culture.
Yeah,
And I think that's definitely become a wave and kind of a trend is mental health, mental awareness, and really trying to like highlight the inner beauty of
yeah,
people as a more important factor than just an outer beauty, which has been kind of like romanticized in our country as to be
yeah,
this perfect image of a model or something like that, right?
yeah.
So when not only is exterior beauty being kind of like trying to that being opened up as well, but inner beauty is also kind of being examined more.
So, do we define inner beauty as having good mental health, or do we define it as having good traits that make us good people?
How about I pose back to you, if we have such a hard time defining outer beauty, right? Because it means something
Yeah,
to everything else. We also can have such a hard time defining inner beauty.
yeah,
You can't limit it to just mental health and this. It's like kind of everything,
yeah,
but also what individual people see as like inner beauty.
exactly. And if you call someone ugly, then it's you're there's really no definition to ugly either, because if we can't define beauty, we can't define ugly. And
That's interesting, yeah.
ugly is undesirable traits, but the traits, they can be desired by you, and the same trait can be not desired by someone else.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone has different opinions and different definitions of what they call beauty.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's hard to pinpoint an exact definition.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the biggest thing. Everybody has their own definition. When a bully calls somebody ugly, that ugly is coming from the perspective of the bully and the bully alone.
Yeah,
So, now other people may agree with the bully, but that's again their individual beauty standards per se. It's impossible to create a universal definition because we all create our own um, independent individual definitions.
yes, sir.
Exactly. So that's kind of like
So,
the issue there.
what would you say makes a person beautiful in or out?
So you're asking me for my personal
Yes,
definitions.
yes.
So, well,
Just had to lower the seat a bit.
uh, but well, I would say so to start off with like the inner beauty.
Yes.
The inner beauty sort of deal. I think maturity
Yeah,
is really really important because that point when you can start not just thinking for yourself but like thinking outside of your own perspective
yeah,
and looking at other people's perspectives, empathy,
yeah,
in a sense, when you can feel somebody else's situation, when you can start to really understand that, you gain such like a sense of kind of understanding that
And
makes
when
that's really
you're-
beautiful. That's really beautiful.
yeah, yeah. When you're able to grasp others' lives and how others are feeling, it leads you to be a happier person and understand yourself better.
Definitely. Yeah. I feel like our journey with ourselves is like ever changing.
Yeah,
We're always kind of learning more about ourselves and like our habits and our traits and making new habits and new traits and stuff like that. I feel like that's always
yeah.
I don't know.
So, next we gotta define love.
Oh jeez.
So, love, going back to desirable traits,
Mm-hmm.
if we enjoy a trait that a person has, that
Yeah.
does that mean we love that person? No. But if
Right.
we enjoy a lot of traits that a person has, does that mean we love them?
Yeah. Dude, I hate to go back to it, but I think again, this is like a set of terms that you can't put a universal
Yeah.
definition on.
Yeah.
You know, it's all individual. So like when you say, let's say two fans commenting underneath an Instagram post on an artist, right?
Yes.
And one of them says, I love these pictures, or maybe like, I love you so much, right?
Yeah.
One person could actually mean that. Like,
Yeah.
they could actually, when they say love, they could actually mean what their definition of love is to them. And in a sense, that is them, like, loving that artist. And another person could say that, but it could be more like, I would imagine how people feel when that's, like, an artist that they don't really know, but they know their talent is amazing. So they'll be like, I love, what you're doing, or something like that.
If it's different if an artist where like their music touches a person and makes them feel things,
Yeah.
compared to if someone just enjoys their music.
Exactly, yeah.
Like if their music is making you feel things, you clearly have a stronger connection to that person than if someone were to like the way they sing.
And if you and if you define that stronger connection as love, then it's love.
Yeah.
But if you don't, it's up to you.
Yeah.
What you kind of define it as.
And moving on, with beauty there's a lot of things, but if we want to see each other as beautiful, we have to be kind, and that will make everyone beautiful, because if everyone's kind, then we're all beautiful in and out, because there's no hate.
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective on it, because is kindness always a two-way street, right?
Yeah.
If you show someone kindness, are they going to show it back? No,
Yeah.
not often. And sometimes it's not the fault of the other person. We've got so much going on in our lives. If you do a kind act to somebody and they don't do it back, I think it's really easy for you to get, caught up in that and be like, well, I'm not a fan of this person anymore. I don't want to do this stuff for this person. When it could be like the person really, really wanted to, and just so it's.
What would you say makes a person mean?
Wow, that's a switch. Kindness. What makes a person mean? I feel like a lot of things could make a person mean, but I think a big one would be environment.
Yeah.
Environment.
What?
And environment in your entire life.
Yeah.
Your environment when you were a kid.
Yeah.
Your environment when you were a teen. Your environment when you were going to college. Like, your environments all throughout your life kind of shape who you are. And your environment also includes the people you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
So, and like the things that you learn. If you learn to be mean from a person who's already mean, that's like learning from your environment. So I'd say environment.
Yeah. So if a person is raised in a bad household with people who see the world as negative and they're always looking for the bad side of things, they're more likely to become that type of person because they weren't raised to see the good side of the world.
Exactly. That's like that's the easiest example of it. Your parents, for example, are just a household that's not great. And sometimes, every situation is unique. Sometimes there is kind of responsibility on that person to break the chain.
Yeah.
To break the chain, not to like carry on this stuff, but there are mental traps that people fall into. There are all sorts of traps and stuff, so it's not easy. It's not easy at all.
So what makes a mean person mean?
A mean environment.
Yeah.
A mean environment.
Well, what traits would a mean person portray? And yeah, what makes this person mean?
Well,
and are mean people mean 100% of the time?
Right, yeah.
Because they could just not like a person because of whatever reason, and they just want to make that person feel pain.
Like going out of their way.
Yeah.
Kind of deal. Right. It's such an interesting thing. What makes a person mean? Because it's an individual perspective again.
Yeah.
It's like can differ for multiple people.
Yeah.
And for a really sensitive person, for somebody who just has a harder time maybe like, processing things or whatever, a person who comes off as loud and angry
Yeah.
Maybe just because the person's tired and like stressed out, a person who comes off as loud and angry comes across as mean.
Yeah.
Even though neither parties are being mean, but like they're kind of the angry person or the yelling person might be transmitting that to somebody who doesn't understand.
Yeah.
Right? And that goes back to the sense of empathy where like if we can really understand empathy, it unlocks like all these doors of I know why you're angry and because of that I'll still be kind to you because it's not your fault, and you being kind back helps them, doesn't kind of like make the situation worse.
Yeah.
So that was a bit of a tangent.
Yeah.
Empathy is like the key.
So
But,
sometimes when a mean person is being mean, they don't even realize it. And that can come from the environment they were raised in and such.
Mm-hmm.
But when they don't realize it, they think that it's not a problem, which goes
Yeah.
back to your own definitions of everything.
Yeah.
And if you're their definition of a mean person could be like a murderer, and ours could be someone who puts others down because they enjoy it. But maybe they don't enjoy putting others down. Maybe it's because they're not because they're depressed about themselves, but because they don't realize that they're putting others down, and they don't realize that it's
Yeah.
hurting them the way it is.
Yeah. Our minds are very complex machines.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So, along with what makes a mean person mean, how could you show kindness to others so that we can avoid being mean to each other and avoid hurting one another?
I mean, it's literally just doing the stuff that we're supposed to, right?
Yeah.
And enjoying it. Like it's not more complicated than that. It's what we've all been taught. Hold the door for other people. Say like, please and thank you, and like it's just I think when we do all go about these things together, it makes it like it's kind of sad that when if like a employee is working in a store and somebody says like, hi or thank you so
Yeah.
much in a nice way, they get excited. Like people should always be kind of trying to do that, right?
Yeah.
And I think it goes to show like what kind of a person you are when you go out of your way to show kindness in those small gestures. You
Yeah.
know?
It comes down to like respect.
Yeah.
And empathy. You just
Mhm.
gotta feel what that other person's feeling. Put yourself in their shoes.
Which is difficult.
Yeah.
You can't undersell that. Empathy is a difficult thing to like get an idea about.
Yeah. And do you need mean people for kind people to exist?
Oh, that's interesting, right? It's kind of like yin and yang.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's probably a reason, right? Everything, like I don't know. Life has a natural balancing point, and if
Yeah.
there needs to be a balancing point between personalities,
So
that makes sense to me.
I think
So,
rather than looking in the world, like, because there's always gonna be mean people.
Mhm.
We can't just eliminate the negative side of things because there's always going to be people who see the negative side of things. And if we look at the good things that are happening and focus on what, like, for example, the election. If our president were to stop yelling at each other on Twitter,
Mhm.
like, this guy's doing this wrong and this guy's doing this wrong,
Mhm.
and focus on what you're going to do and how you're going to better this place,
Yeah.
then the world will be a lot nicer. Because rather than seeing the negative side and seeing all of the unemployment and tax rates way high up,
Yeah.
just tell them that you're going to give them jobs and you're going to give them more money and you're not going to take more of it. Don't tell them that this person is going to raise taxes. Tell them that you're going to lower it.
Right. So instead of like tearing down the other opponent, build yourself up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all yin and yang.
Yeah, it is.
There's two sides to every story. There's always a downside and an upside. And it all comes down.
Yeah. Not even like downside and upside, just opposites.
Yeah.
Just just polar opposites. Yin and yang, white and black.
So we can conclude that we're probably not all ever going to get along. There's
Yep.
always going to be differences between people,
Mhm.
but if we try and just accept each other
Mhm.
and accept those differences, it we would be so much better off as a species.
Mhm.
And if we just work together
Mhm.
rather than hurting and
If we had a world where we were streamlined and all on one mindset, the amount of the things that we could do would be indescribable.
yeah,
Because, like, think about how far we've come, and we have been fighting wars and tearing each other apart since. We've been always doing it. We've been
yeah,
doing it. We just have a mentality of doing that. Now, it, right, the idea is, like, can we all kind of unite like that, right?
yeah.
Can we get in that thing? And I have an interesting recent discovery on that. Do you have anything that you were thinking of?
Go for it.
So, all right. So this is going to get into some interesting territory. Now, regardless of political bias, regardless of like bias against this guy, I'm just going to talk about his ideas. Elon Musk.
Okay. Yes.
So this is what he actually has envisioned for the future. In the near future, and of course they're already doing tons of crazy stuff with like trying to go up to Mars and creating electric cars, and the Boring Company, which is doing tunnels through the tunnels in the ground to get to places through hyperloops and stuff,
Yeah.
which is really cool. That's all really cool, but outside of that, Elon Musk has the idea, and he's experimenting with this through Neuralink,
Yeah.
a chip in the brain that one day he says in the near future, human and technology are going to become basically one. We're all going to be online. There's already plans with satellites going up into space that are connecting to make a grid around the entire Earth to provide internet access everywhere. Every
Wow.
specific place. We're going to be so connected in that I think we're going to start transitioning towards, and it's a huge word to say, so like I'm not making any predictions here, but like a singularity sort of deal.
Yeah.
Where we will be so linked through, like, I think what Elon Musk is basically saying is that the next evolution for the human brain is to go from animalistic, which we're animals,
Yeah.
you know, at a
Yeah.
basic, we're mammals, we're at a basic concept, we're animals, to go from animals to some digital.
Symbiotic?
I don't really know, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think eventually we're not going to be reliant on a human form per se in the
Yeah.
future. Now, obviously, however long that would come, if it ever does, could be hundreds of years. And the other part of this is, too, we may tear each other apart before we're able to figure out this technology. The human race could. We have the power now to make ourselves extinct with the amount of nuclear weapons and bombs and crazy stuff that we have, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's a matter of, are we going to reach this goal that Elon Musk has in mind before we like tear ourselves apart?
Yeah. I don't know.
And that could, so to bring this all back, that could be the link for what you're talking about with us all uniting under like kindness.
Yeah.
If we all streamlined ourselves, or if that's the way that the human species is going, for good or for worse, I'm making no like a personal comment on it.
Yeah.
For good or for worse, if that's the way that the future goes, then that could be a step closer to this sort of worldly understanding of each other, like empathy and stuff.
Yeah. Well, in conclusion, we all need to love each other. Things are crazy right now,
Yeah.
and it's just because we're trying to force our opinions on one another. But if we just look at the upside of things and come up with compromise, we'll all get along. We'll be alright.
Compromise. Yeah. I think that's the answer to a lot of problems that people have in the world that they don't think of.
Yeah.
Is compromise.
Well, thank you for listening to Highly Intelligent. and we'll see you next, or you'll listen to me next episode.
Adios.